All right, hi students. I heard from your sub that some of you are really struggling with what to do. So I'm just gonna walk you through all the steps and hopefully that'll be helpful. Sorry I couldn't be there today and I couldn't respond because I was in class, but now it's lunchtime, so I have some free time to make this video for you. Okay, so both today and tomorrow, clicking through student subplan for medical chemistry, it looks like all of you got that. Should look like this. I'm going to skip down past battleship, and it looks like most of you are good on part 4, where you chose an element to work on. So let's say in this document, I am in period 2, so I'm going to click on the period 2 tab, and I'm going to type in my element name. So let's say I'm going to type in my name, and I choose hydrogen. Can't spell. Okay, hydrogen. All right, so that's the element I'm going to work on. Called it. None of you in period 2 called it, so that's great. So on my next step, actually before I go past step 4, be careful what element you choose. So choosing elements in the transition elements, so group 3 to 12, might be kind of tricky for the things I'm asking for in your project. So what would be helpful if you just choose the elements from the periodic table that are in group 1A to 8A. So those would be, let me just pull up the periodic table for you so you can see. Periodic table. So you want to choose the elements that are in group 1, group 2, any one of these would be fine. And then I'm going to skip all the way to these right here. Right? I would also sort of skip the man-made ones. As interesting as they are, they don't really do anything because we don't know what uses we have for them yet, at least for most of them. So I would skip some of these down here too. But anything that's colored in black on this side or this side, these first 2 groups would work. All right, going back to the instructions. So complete your project using the exemplar and the gradebook checklist as your guide. All right, so for the project, the link to your copy is actually on Classwork. So if I go back to Google Classroom, in Classwork, so I'm in Classwork, Unit 2, Periodic Table of Elements. So if I open that up, I should have my version on it. So I also got word that some of you guys were really struggling with the formatting and what to put in there and how to add images. So I made a copy. So here's my version just for me, right? To zoom in, if you can't see, there's 2 ways of doing it, right? On your Chrome, you can press Control CTR and then the plus symbol on the top right-hand side. Or if you look at this icon where it says zoom here, you can also zoom, and that'll help you out as well. If I'm stating the keys that are wrong, especially since I'm working on a MacBook right now, if you click on the zoom button, it'll tell you the quick keys or the buttons you can press to zoom in and out. So I tend to just use the buttons on my laptop and adjust as needed. So I picked hydrogen. All right, so once I picked hydrogen, what I'm going to do is type in my name of elements, so on and so forth. Oops. Let's see. Let me change this back to 100% so it's clearly visible. And I'll change this back to 100% as well. All right. So for names of elements, you'll see that as I type this in, it'll mess up the lines. And that's okay. So feel free to delete the underlines on the side in terms of like typing stuff. If you want to get rid of like what I write down in parentheses, once you have it down, like feel free to like delete that as well. So hydrogen is my name of elements, status, what are you doing right now? So hydrogen is the name of my elements. I can also select the entire line. And then in terms of what my element is doing right now, I need to be aware of the characteristics of hydrogen. So what do I know about hydrogen according to my periodic trends notes, right? Well, I know that hydrogen is reactive with water. So I can say something like avoiding water at all costs and staying inside. Not very clever, but you get the idea. So some of you might be saying, how did you know that hydrogen is reactive with water? Well, in which case, if you don't remember what hydrogen does or what all of these elements do, depending on what element you picked, 2 places you can look. So student chemistry calendar. If you look at your periodic trends notes, so to find it, once I get to student chemistry calendar, I'm going to press Control F and then search for periodic trends. And it should highlight and select it for me. Periodic trends notes, there it is. All right, so that date specifically is October 30th to 31st. So if you click on that, all the notes that are here, blah, blah, blah. Right, so hydrogen, group 1, reactive with water. Although it's not considered an alkali metal, right, hydrogen is still reactive, very explosive. Anyways, going back to this, right, so that's what I want in terms of like, what are things to stay? The other thing that I was told you were having trouble with is adding images and stuff. So one way to add images is selecting this image here. And on the top left-hand side of your menu where it says insert, if you click on that, you can insert image, right? And there's 2 ways of doing this, but since you're on your Chrome, I would suggest either doing it by URL if you have the link ready, or web search. Web search is probably the easiest if you're struggling with your Chrome a lot right now. So if I click on insert image and then search web, there's going to be this column that pops up on my right hand side. So because I'm working with hydrogen, I can search in images of hydrogen. Right, there's not much because can't really see hydrogen, so I can just pick the element card. Maybe I like the atomic model, so I'm gonna pick this one. So once I click it, you'll see a check mark and it'll say selected, and you can just click insert on the bottom right hand side and it should pop up. All right, so it might pop up like huge like it did for me, or a different size. Grabbing the corner where the boxes are, you can resize it and sort of like move it into place. Right. And I recognize that the one that I picked doesn't cover up the image before. So if you click on this image, you can click, I don't know if your Chromes have the delete button on the right-hand side of your keyboard, but you can also go to, I think it's file delete or edit delete. Yeah. So if you click on edit and then delete, you can delete that background image. So all you're left with is the image of hydrogen, right? So for the rest of these, you're essentially doing the same thing. Now with hydrogen, for this part, right, what elements would be friends with your element? Well, hydrogen's kind of a weird one. So I know that it sort of behaves like the alkali metals, so it's sort of friends with the alkali metals, but it's not exactly like alkali metals, right? So then you might say that they're like fake friends, so you might write something in about being fake friends. So that's basically it in terms of adding images and notes. Message me if you have any other issues, and I will make a video showing you how to do that thing. All right, good luck.